Hi.
Hey everyone, and welcome back finally to See You Next Thursday. We were out of town for a couple of weeks and then came home sick. So here we are, finally back, and we're going to talk about where we were and what we were doing in Italy.
Well, how we were eating
Well, yeah, really, how we
specifically
were eating in Italy.
as a vegan. As a vegan that's super health conscious,
Yeah.
i.e., tries to avoid gluten, soy, refined sugars, and eats organic. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but not really when we learned that Italy and Europe are non GMO and the food is so much fresher.
Yeah.
So we were definitely maxing out on fresh pasta and bread
Yeah.
and pizza and lots of fruit, salads. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, the sweets were really, really limited while we were gone because we're both really weird about refined sugar. But I will admit that when we were in Florence, or otherwise called Firenze, when we were
Firenze.
in Firenze, we did find vegan
Organic.
gelato.
And that was amazing.
And we each had really small servings of it because we were pretty sure that it had sugar in it. So
Of course, but it was super
so
decadent.
good. It was so decadent. I had pistachio, so yummy.
And we found, I had chocolate, of course. We found the bio stores, which are the natural food stores. Not all of them because there wasn't enough time. We popped up in some different cafes, little markets. In Firenze specifically, we weren't even having to look for healthy food.
No.
It seemed like the options
It was
were
there.
just there.
It was
And
just there. And it's not such a big place, so it was easy to even following our little Google map, like following that around, everything was relatively close. And so I felt like we had the most action there of
Well-
really focused on the kinds of foods that we want to
Well,
eat.
because Rome was so large, and
And we were trying to see so much, and I'd never been. So even though I wasn't really super excited to go to all the tourist attractions because everybody's there, there's 5,000 people, and big, huge crowds give me a level of anxiety, we kind of skimmed all of that. So we didn't go into Vatican City. We cruised out and around. Oh my gosh, this plant is like right in my head. So we were just kind of doing the skirts of like the Colosseum. What was the
and really just taking in the cafe culture.
yeah, which I loved so much.
Yeah, so we got hungry, we would sit down and eat
Wherever we were.
focaccia
Yeah, it was pretty
and
much wherever we
salad,
were.
And
Instead of like being super freaky and trying to find only vegan places, we sat down and asked for, how do they say it? Vegana?
Vegano.
Vegana?
and there was one place in Rome that was pretty spectacular. It was, a friend set it up for us to go, and it was 5-star,
All vegan.
Indian inspired, called Vrinda,
Vrinda.
and it
VR.
was amazing.
NNDA. Is that right?
Vrindaa. I can't remember, but
There
I'll
was
leave
no
it below.
I. It was just Vrinda.
I don't remember, but it was amazing.
We'll write it down.
And the owner was pretty special.
Amazing. Very special. Yeah.
And
The food was unlike, we thought we were going to be seated to an Indian restaurant because our friend who set it up, it was a fine dining experience, but our friend that set it up told us we were going to be going to an Indian place. So that was what we expected. So I thought when I walked in, I was going to be having like, chana masala and rice and naan, and that wasn't it at all. It was a fusion. And so there was a lot of pasta, but we didn't even know what we were looking at on the menu because it wasn't like names of food. It was kind of like names of places.
we just had him bring out his preferences.
Yeah.
And
my mind was blown.
Yeah,
it was
it's pretty special.
it was truly a beautiful fine dining experience.
but with all that pizza, pasta, focaccia, and bread and all that, and of course the sun-dried tomatoes and the artichoke hearts were amazing with the focaccia. But one of our favorite places in Firenze was Raw Vegan Firenze.
Yeah.
Firenze. It was a raw vegan place called #raw. And that place was really amazing. We had an all raw meal, and
Our friend ordered, they did have a cooked pizza and then the raw pizza, and we ordered the raw pizza. She ordered the cook. We tried hers. Honestly, I felt the raw pizza was the winner of the two.
it reminded us of our business in Portland,
Yeah.
and love to see businesses like that.
Where it's
And
like
really-
the only sugars they used were dates. It was just like super exciting. So of course I had dessert there because I tend to eat something sweet every single day. And on this trip I think I had sweets twice. That was it in like 2 weeks.
But as much as we ate, we felt lighter. Of course, we were walking around.
Oh my
The
God,
food
we
quality-
came home and all of my clothes were loose. It was crazy. Like things that I'd left and they were fitting normal. When I got home, everything was loose. It was like all of that walking, all of the eating. What were you reading? You were reading something about the wheat that they use there, the flour, that what they use to make flour with is different than here.
Did I say it was softer?
You said it was like a hard red wheat that's done here or
Yeah.
something like that. And over there, it's a soft wheat and it has
So it's
less
less gluten.
And frankly, it's like I wasn't experiencing, because both of us have gluten intolerances. We should not be eating it. But when we were over there at certain points, we did. We ate it within the focaccia that we were eating. I'm sure it was in the pizza. I'm sure it was in the pasta. I'm sure it was in everything that we ate. And I just wasn't having any kinds of reactions while over there.
Well, we were in Sicily also, and it was gorgeous and very remote where we were.
So the southern
And
part,
We were
like-
in the very southern part of Sicily, and we stayed in a castle for a birthday party, which was
Amazing.
extraordinary. But the food was really not around, and we were
Yeah.
reliant on the food in the castle, and there wasn't very much after a couple of days. It was Italian breakfast, so for us it was just a pre-sliced gluten-free
yeah.
bread and fruit, which we just stuck with the fruit mostly.
Which was amazing.
And the
Like
fresh
every morning
juice.
they were picking up the fruit. And I swear to God, I have never had as yummy of melons. I mean, all different kinds, like the white flesh melons, the orange flesh melons, and the red flesh melons.
Well, driving
amazing.
to the castle from Catania, which is one of the northern sides, it took about 2 hours. So I had no idea there was all this agriculture. It was just agriculture everywhere. So we're talking eggplant, melons, citrus, tomatoes,
Pistachios,
olive oil, agave,
almonds.
The
The pistachios were to
the almond trees were
freaking
everywhere.
die for.
And it's interesting because for our business, our almonds
Or
were
Italian.
often sourced from Italy because they're non-pasteurized,
So they're truly raw.
organic almonds, and so to see them everywhere was super cool.
Yeah.
And so the food felt really great, and so and then as we went into Catania, which was more of like a city vibe, still on the Mediterranean, we ate more salad, French fries.
We
Sweet
ate
potato
a lot
fries,
of potatoes and bread, and that's what we were eating because
but like a pistachio pesto on
the
a
fish.
salad.
It's everybody eats fish there because it's ocean. You're
Yeah.
by the ocean, so it's kind of like here in Charleston. When we got here, we thought there might be more vegan than there is. There isn't. What their go for here is seafood, and it's the same there.
Yeah, so we had a pizza with. There wasn't really. We didn't come across any vegan cheeses, but we weren't specifically seeking them out at the time. So we just had pizza with vegetables on it. I think some balsamic.
Yeah,
And like
olive
artichoke
oil.
salad, which was amazing.
Oh my God, the salads
And-
were so amazing.
And then, of course, in Rome, so Sicily was more pasta.
Well,
and
and
then
that's
in
the-
Rome was more pizza.
But the one dish that we had in Catania that was so yummy, we ordered this. It was called a warm salad, and what came out, it was insane. It was like, you know, when you back in the day you would go and you would get like the sourdough that's the top's lopped off, and they would put clam chowder in it. It's something you could get in San Francisco. On the
Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah, on Fisherman's Wharf. So what they did was we had no idea what we were getting. We were just asking for vegan, how we could get things vegan. And so literally it was this amazing salad with pistachio pesto all over it.
Going to
in
replicate.
this bread, like literally in this bread that had the top lopped off of it, and it was sitting in there, and the salad and the bread and the pistachio pesto all over it was in it. Honestly, it was one of my most favorite dishes, and everything was so fresh.
Well, even the potatoes, the French fries, the olive oil. Some of my favorite things too, when we were in Sicily, was just these different variations of bread. When we had the bread with the seeds, and the olive oil was so fresh.
Yeah.
It was such a treat. And so I have to say, we want to move to Italy. And so don't be surprised if we pop off in Italy.
In the next chunk
the
of
near
time.
future.
Yeah, because
I'm
we
not
both
sure how, but we're like, it's in the forefront of our minds.
It just felt so good. People were so incredibly friendly. It's a country that does not seem to dislike Americans. Whoops, I just hit my. Oops, sorry about that. They don't seem to dislike Americans, and there just was an insane amount of friendliness, freshness with the food, this beautiful, like the cafe cultures of taking siestas in the day and then having more like things happening a little later at night. It just
a lot later.
It felt, yeah, well, in Catania, we didn't really experience it that much in Rome when we stopped at the Hoxton, and all of a sudden they were closing that hotel up so early.
Yeah.
Whereas we'd been in Catania, and it's like things didn't get going until 9 or 10. And then people were out until, I mean, our friends were walking us back to our hotel in Catania, and it was like almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was still bumping all over that city.
In a good way. It wasn't like rowdy or anything.
No,
it was just teenagers hanging out, people hanging out.
It was
just
amazing.
Like normal, like it was a normal thing.
And also when we were in Catania, there was these little kiosks, these like circular little buildings that would be just, randomly dispersed around the streets of the downtown area. And they were owned by generations of families. And what they served was this drink that cools you down because it's warm there like it is in South Carolina. And so the drink was this really, really fizzy water, and then either fresh lemon, fresh lime, or fresh mandarin juice. And it was
Very
so refreshing and so yummy.
I think we had that around 1 in the morning.
1 in the morning we had that. It was amazing as we were cruising around. It was just really like, I really did love Catania quite a lot. I really did. This trip was amazing, and I was surprised at how we could just kind of sit down almost anywhere and get something that felt healthy and yummy and satisfying, that wasn't completely necessarily within our parameters of eating, but upon eating it, we didn't feel like shit. And that was, we ate a lot of bread, we ate a lot of pasta, we ate a lot of potatoes, and a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits. It was really...
I mean, even at the Rome airport.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, like, gorgeous, high-end shopping, which was...
Can I have a sip of your tea?
Of course, this is
Thank you.
hibiscus tea. And, but we had brought food over for our trip on the leg over, and then on the way back we needed food. So we go to the airport, and...
What did we bring on the way over? Let's tell people what we brought with us, that we traveled with.
So with our travel food on the way over, I soaked raw organic cashews, Brazil nuts, and almonds in filtered water and sea salt, and then re-dehydrated them so they have extra crunchy, salty deliciousness. We brought pistachios. We brought banana bread. We brought
tea with us.
We
had ashwagandha tea.
We brought
and
ashwagandha tea, but
lemon
we also
balm.
had
What was
sourdough bread and like vegan cheese, like little
right.
sandwiches.
Right.
Because we had a 30-hour venture over there by the time we made our way down to the south.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
then what else did we bring? Vegan chocolate chip cookies, 2 of them that I made. We had, and is that all we had?
And some apples and some
apples
bananas.
and bananas. So we had a stash, and because we needed food for 2 days for travel,
and we just didn't know what we were going to be, what was going to happen, what we were going to see. We would have done okay at the Rome airport, though.
But on the way back at the Rome airport, we got some fresh focaccia at one of the bodegas or the cafe.
It's like, when you walk in and there's cafe. I mean, you walk into an airport in the United States and you see McDonald's and you see Dunkin' Donuts and you see Chick-fil-A and you see all of this processed shit. But over there, you didn't see that. It's like you saw these little like cafe style setups that are like how all the other things are set up in like, bigger kiosk kinds of situations. But
But I
the
mean,
food was insane.
everything just looked so much more plump and
Fresh. I mean,
delicious.
even when we walked into I will admit we found a Starbucks in the Rome
Termini.
in Termini, which is the train station, and it was so interesting how much more beautiful their food section was than at home. I mean, I'm not trying to diss on the US. We live in a great country. We have so many amazing freedoms here. There's so much amazing shit going on here. But I gotta say, they got it going on in the food area, and like we don't even hold a candle.
But
we don't even
I
hold a
keep trying to
candle.
say when we were leaving,
Yeah,
we
sorry.
got some focaccia.
Yeah.
And we were able to get some sun-dried tomatoes and some artichoke hearts also on the side, and had an avocado, and just made these focaccia sandwiches for the plane ride home.
Yeah.
And that was delicious. And then what else did we got? Some like mixed organic nuts and
Yeah, at the little
apples
bio store before we left.
and
Bananas.
bananas.
We didn't nearly have enough food this time though. We were so starving that when we finally got to Atlanta, it was like over a 10-hour flight. When we finally got to Atlanta, and we couldn't eat anything on the plane. I mean, we had our focaccia sandwiches, but Teresa dropped one of them on the floor. It was so sad.
And you can't be picking it up and eating it
No.
off at the airplane.
No.
That was really sad.
That was
though.
really sad. So we moved through our snacks. Oh, we had a chocolate bar that you got that was like a raw chocolate bar, basically. So, so we got back, and there was like nothing for us to eat in the Atlanta airport, and we only had minutes to catch our next flight because we had to move
Nothing
back
that
through
we
customs.
wanted to eat.
There was nothing
Yeah, it
that
was
we could eat.
sad.
I am so sorry. There was like nothing. I'm sorry. There's nothing for me at McDonald's. There's nothing for me at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
There's nothing for me at Dunkin'. There's nothing. Not even their coffee is good. So sorry. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, but we got back, and now we are diving back into another cleanse. That's why she's sitting here drinking tea, and I've got my apples going, and it was just, wasn't it just the greatest? The trip was just so great. I know we're not even talking about all the amazing food. There was like, what was that other place that we, like the one night we were trying to get pizza in Catania. Pizza was elusive. Not in Catania, when we were at the castle. The castle was very on the southernmost tip of Sicily, and we were right on the ocean. And there just wasn't really anything around us, and we weren't bright enough to get. Next time we would do this, but we didn't rent a car. We just were taxied in to this area that was literally 2 hours from the Catania airport. So we were going to an area that felt pretty isolated, and grocery stores weren't super close. You'd have to get in your car and drive at least a half an hour to get to a grocery store, at least. So we just didn't have a lot there, and still, we did good. There was the vegan food that was made for us at the castle was really good too. Mm-hmm. So fresh, so special. So that second dinner for the birthday party was like, I mean, I felt like we were eating at a 5-star. Just the courses that came out. It was really amazing. We got really spoiled on this trip.
Yeah.
And we ate a bunch of stuff we wouldn't normally be eating, and so now we're back. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I have no regrets. I have no regrets for any of the things I ate. And in fact, I always feel when I make those kinds of moves, it just moves me right back onto my track again. But this time I have to say, like, if I was eating a bunch of gluten here in the US, I don't feel good when I eat it. I don't feel good, and I can't do it for days on end. We did it for days on end. Mm-hmm. In Italy.
And felt great.
And all the walking. I just really appreciated. It's kind of like when I first lived in San Francisco, I walked everywhere.
Well, the saying, under the Tuscan sun.
Yeah.
There's really something illuminating about it. And so the whole trip was very illuminating, in fact, in many different ways that we're not even talking about beyond the food piece. But yeah, so it was just eye-opening. I'm happy that Willow was into it.
I was so into it.
We're manifesting our next chapter.
Yeah.
In a different place, potentially. Who knows? The how and the why
are
is
none of our
my business.
None of our business. We just need to keep letting the universe know the directions that we want to move in and keep showing up and keep keeping the faith.
Oh, and we did go to this one place in Firenze our friend took us to, which we never would have gone. It was
Never
a little
in a
hole
million.
in the wall because hanging was cured meats. Like
like where you
it was
see
a
like
teeny little space, and it was really actually special. We sat at this bar area, and it was teeny. And they had little outdoor seating too, and it was super eye candy behind the counter.
I would say there were probably only 10 people could sit in this space. There was like a little.
Well, there was a little back section too.
Oh, there was.
Yeah. But it was it was little. Like all the spaces were little, and it was adorable. But the people that were working in there were like
super attractive.
but anyhow, what made it so special, besides from the cured meat sitting here,
well, that was not special.
Was all they did was had like a toaster oven thing, like an industrial one, sliced up some fresh bread, and for a lot of people, they were just like cutting. The cheese looked really nice, I have to say. Of course, we didn't eat it, but slicing up this cheese, melting it on the bread, and like putting some cured meat on plates and stuff. And for us, they just made the fresh bread with the artichoke hearts and the sun-dried tomatoes.
And like some mushrooms.
And it was one of my favorite meals because it was so simple, but the whole experience was just
and then
really
the
fun.
wine, and then how fun the crew was that worked there. Like we sat at the little bar where there was like seating behind us. We were right there at the bar watching everything, which on one hand was kind of gross, watching them slice cured meats. That was kind of gross, but it still was a fun experience, and the space was, I don't know, there was something really special about it, even though we would never, ever have gone into that place on our own.
I'm glad we did that.
Me too. Our friend had a really great experience in there and brought us in there, knowing that we're not super freaky about stuff. We'll live and let live and, have our own experience.
Yeah, so it was great. Highly recommend. Highly recommend.
The next time we go, we'll be documenting way more of what we did. This trip was
things happened around a lot.
Well, and things happened out of the blue. Like we had no intentions of being in Catania for a couple of days. That was just an airport we were moving through to get to the castle at the bottom of Sicily. But then one of our really great friends happened to be from there and happened to be in town when we were there. So of course we had to go, and I'm so glad we did, because Catania really was one of my favorite places. I really enjoyed it a lot. I loved where we stayed and just the easy access we had just to walking everywhere. Yeah. And I could walk everywhere in my espadrilles because I'm not, as you can see, I'm not a super giant fan of the flat shoe. And when you're walking everywhere, you kind of really need to be concerned about what you have on your feet. And I was able to march around in my 3.5-inch espadrilles all over Catania for hours and hours. Granted, the other amazing thing about their culture, about this Italian culture, is all the cafes. So you walk and you walk and you walk, and then you sit down for a couple of hours, and nobody's trying to shoo you out of their restaurant.
You have to ask them.
Yeah, you have to ask for the check. Nobody's trying to get rid of you so they can turn and burn tables. It was really it just had this
more please.
Yeah, more please. It felt luxurious. Even though we weren't necessarily sitting in the most luxurious restaurants, that ease of being able to sit and just people watch and chat and connect even with other people there.
So I think the crux is, as a freaky health conscious vegan, plant-based vegan, Italy's a great place to go.
I agree.
So
100.
And we'll be making our way back there soon.
Oh yeah,
so,
real soon.
To be continued. Just
Yeah.
wanted to shout it out, and yeah. So we'll see you next Thursday.
And if you have any great stories to share about any Italian trips you've taken or any eating you've done over there, or really anything you want to say about Italy, because I am high on Italy right now, please throw those questions this way.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, bellas. We'll see you next Thursday.